Hello everyone, Charles from the Bible Unbound. What I have today is something that was suggested by one of our study groups. It's just going to be the Fresh Look series. So we're taking a look at the Fresh Look series for inductive Bible study, and the only drawback, my initial drawback, is that it seems to be in King James only. They don't seem to be doing this in any other translation in the near future. But for a study aid, especially if you are a King James reader that is getting into inductive Bible study, this might be a tool that you would use. Myself and people that I know that are a little bit more in depth into it may or may not use this. So we're going to show you an example of one of these books so that way you can decide for yourself if this is a material that might be useful for you. So we're starting with a fresh look at John. And the way that they describe the features on the back is they have distinct dialogue discourse. And this one they break out the I am statements in John. They are supposed to have clear scripture quotes and enhanced poetry. The formatting is one of the things that you're either going to like or you're not going to like. But one of the things that I think is a benefit is, after you get past the preface here, is their color coding system. So they specifically color text based on certain parameters here. And that helps you learn basically how to do the who, what, when, where, and how many of a kind of inductive Bible sort of study. Now they have examples of the color coding, for specific examples of God, God the Son. They basically have the minor color shifts to kind of emphasize what they're trying to get across here. They have this panorama preview, so you can order online the panorama preview. You can get this in a PDF or you can get this in the hardcovers. The hardcovers are fairly reasonable priced, and I think the PDFs are slightly cheaper, which might be an option if you were looking into this to see if this might be something you'd like. I would definitely recommend buying just one of them instead of the entire set to see if it's something you'd be interested in. Now, one of their strong benefits is they have a kind of a generic overview, but it's not, by no means bad. And the way they show the chapter layout, where they break out, the prologue, the Passover, the feast, Passover 2, the Feast of Tabernacles, Passover 3, and the epilogue. And they're actually showing specific sections of like the I am statements where they're all at in here. I like that. That makes it kind of jump out. Now you'll notice when you get into this that they have these little summaries on the side. You'll see this all throughout. And I do like that they're doing this because it kind of shows you here, like for the whole section of the few days surrounding the marriage of Cana, they have day 1, 2, 3, and 4, where they believe that this kind of logically makes sense for what's happening during those times. Also, the conversations really jump out at you. And the way they do that is by specifically indenting each person as they're saying something different. So it kind of makes that conversation stand out. So if you're trying to find out who's specifically speaking and what the response is, it's very, very obvious. That, unfortunately, I think leads to some of my detractors of the way I don't necessarily like the way they laid it out. But that's just my personal preferences. So the big drawback that I have in this, you'll see it mainly in the long sections of speech, where you know that this is at least 2 paragraphs, but it's all like left justified in that indent. And it does it in a couple of places. One of the biggest places is when they're actually doing the kind of the Beatitudes. I could see this happening in Mark, same way, where you know that this is like 3 or 4 paragraphs and it's all kind of mushed together in one sort of thing. That I don't necessarily like. So in my opinion, either do it as a paragraph form or don't do it. But that's just me. It makes some sense with the way that they're trying to design the study. But you're either, like I say, you're either going to like the way they're doing it or you're not. But that does make sense in some ways when you're looking specifically for conversations and what was being said. And the other thing, I don't know if there's a good list in here. I do like the way they handle lists. So this is very good for just being able to see a quick overview as you're looking through it. This would be a good companion for somebody that is trying to do an inductive study where kind of the subjects kind of just pop out and makes it easier to see that. But then when you get to another book like Job, Job itself is a poetic, more or less typesetting through just about any Bible you look at. So you get into Job, he has that example of lists. I do like the way they do lists, where they do it in just nice little numbers and straight list. It's just a straight list instead of a full paragraph, which I've seen it done in some Bibles. Coloring is the same. They break these out as far as the themes, and you being able to figure out, who might be speaking, which set of the discourse it is in. Since there isn't a whole lot of back and forth dialogue, the way that they're doing the dialogue in setting doesn't necessarily make sense to me, but it may make sense in other books where you do have a lot more back and forth discourse. I could see this in making more sense in Genesis or in Numbers or in a book like, I don't know, maybe Esther or something where there's a lot of dialogue back and forth and it's easier to pick out who's saying what. That could actually be useful. As far as build quality, it is just like a very thin paperback, and it has kind of a waxy coating, which I think will protect it a little bit, but it's fairly thick paper, not a whole lot of bleed through. You could probably take decent notes in it. There's a decent amount of space all the way around here. But personally, I'm not as impressed. You'll almost never hear me say it. But I do think that this could be useful for somebody that's beginning in inductive Bible study. I would recommend that you buy one specific module if you're going to buy a paper version of it to see if it's something that would be useful for you before you would buy the entire set. And these are also available in PDF form too, so that if you didn't want to invest into a paper copy of it, you could download a PDF version and be able to look through it that way to see if it's something that you would be interested in. But for me, I do like the way they formatted some parts of it, but others, I could see you're either going to like it or you're not. So with that, let us know how you feel about this, if this is something that might be useful for you, or if you have another method or another type of study material that would be useful for inductive studies. Let us know down in the comments. And until the next video, we hope you have a nice day, night, evening, wherever you're at, and we hope that we see you in the next video soon.